Don't even know where to begin. I was born in Afghanistan, a war-torn country. As a 3 years old, moved then to another country in search of better life. I remember at the age of 3 or 4, I was left at my uncle's house in Pakistan whilst my parents moved back to Afghanistan. They left me because they wanted me to have a better life, for me to go to school, and they returned, of course, after a year or so. In 2003, my father moved to Europe in search of better life yet again, to provide for us. He went to Europe and he was away up until 2009, and he then brought us to Europe as well. During those 7-8 years, whilst my father was absent, we didn't have anyone at home that could take the responsibilities. I had to become an adult at the age of 7 years old, where I remember I used to go get groceries and a lot of other stuff that, usually adults would do, specifically your parents. When I arrived in Norway with my family in 2009, I remember at the airport when taking the flight, imagine an 11 years old a kid holding all the passports of the family members I have for all these 7 siblings and your mother, all relying on an 11 years old, trying to get our way through the airport, to make sure we get to the right gate. I remember I could barely speak English, went up to the security guard and asked for the directions, and I I can still picture it as I'm going forward, my mom and all of my siblings going after me. This is one of those memories that I remember very, very clearly up to this day. We arrived to Norway, and yet again we start our lives from zero. Our only provider was my father, with 7 siblings, and my mom unable to work due to health issues. The times starting from zero in another country is another level of challenge entirely, especially when you have 7 kids and a partner that's unable to work and you're the only provider. Another thing I remember very, very, very clearly is that we never bought any new clothes. We never wore any new clothes, never, because our father could only provide for the food we had. And amazingly enough, we understood at that age that our father is the only one providing, and he's doing his best to give us the best he can. On one hand, our father was doing everything he could, and on the other hand, our mother, who couldn't work but did everything she could. And this part gets me very emotional every time I think about it. To get us clothes, I remember my mom used to my mom used to go to this charity place where they would hand out clothes and even food to people in need, such as us. So my mom used to wait in line for 2 to 3 hours during winter time, at -15, -10 degrees, to get those clothes for all the kids, and then carry it in the snow back home as well in a trolley. And I remember sometimes I would even go there with my mom myself after school to help her carry those things. And for us, it didn't matter where the clothes came from, as long as we had something to put on. So we didn't have any complaints to our parents like, why am I not getting this, why am I not getting that? Because as I said, we understood all of that at a very young age. And I was the oldest one. Bear in mind, I'm maybe 12 years old to 13 years old, and the rest are even younger. So they couldn't really understand what was going on, but they wouldn't complain about anything either. At the age of 13, I started working as a newspaper deliverer. I used to have a big blue trolley where I used to carry a lot of newspapers, and my younger sister, used to help me carry those as well, like push the trolley, because during winter times it's very tough. You go uphill, and try to pull that along with a lot of newspapers in it. Becomes a it was tough job. So I used to earn £150 from that job. I used to work 3 days a week after school, and I used to give that to my parents. At that time, I was trying my best to help my parents in any way I could. I was not thinking about myself, I was thinking about my parents, because I could see how much they were trying themselves for us. Because I said earlier that I had become an adult already at the age of 7, 8 years already. So I could understand these things, so I knew what was going on. So I could feel what they were trying to do for us, what they were doing actually for us. And that meant a lot, even at that time. At times, it's very clear, even to this day, at school during lunch breaks, I used to sit on stairs watching my friends buy lunch and stuff from canteen, whilst I was thinking to myself, why don't I have that? Why can I have that? Why can't I have that? How are they able to do it and I'm not able to do the same? All these complaints, all these questions I had in my mind, but I never really asked anyone, not my father, not my mother, because I knew the situation. I had the answers, but sometimes even if you know the answers, it still hurts. It still hurts to think about it, questions like these. So I used to ask those questions to myself, and then I answered them to myself as well. I used to reply to myself as well. I know, because my parents are like that. My family situation is like that. They're doing their best. One thing those situations taught me is that gratitude. I didn't have anything at that time, but that having nothing taught me a lot about whatever had to come, whatever came later. That made me appreciate those things even more, because I didn't have them. I had a dream. As I was going to school, I had a dream of becoming a professional football player. I was literally crazy about becoming a professional football player. I used to watch Cristiano Ronaldo. It was crazy. What I did was that every single day after school, I would go home. From 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., I would go on the football pitch, whether it's snow, rainy day, whether it's dark, whether it's daylight or whatever. I would go and train for 4 hours every single day for many years. For many years, I did that. I've always wanted to go to UK to pursue my dream of becoming a professional football player. And then came the time where there was talks about Brexit, and there was so many things people were saying. This is gonna happen to Europeans. They're gonna do this. They will be doing this and this. And bear in mind, at that time, I had already been applying for jobs as a student for one whole year, another job, so I can get some extra money whilst I'm going to school. But as a student, you couldn't really get jobs because you didn't have any experience prior to that. But towards the end of that year, I got a job. I signed the contract as well. But on that same day I signed the contract, when I heard the talks about Brexit, I thought, if I don't take the chance now to go to the UK, I might not be able to go after that, or after Brexit, because I was not sure what Brexit actually meant for Europeans. So what I did is that I just booked a ticket without talking to anyone. I just booked the ticket on the same day, and on the morning I was on a flight to UK. One thing, crazily enough, I didn't know anyone in UK, not a single soul there. Luckily enough, I think universe was trying to help me as well. I met up with a guy from the same country. We connected, we clicked. I went with him to his house, where he lived in a loft, sharing his place with 7 other adults. All of them were much older than me. Maybe I think everyone was 30 plus, and I was the youngest one, 20, 21. So I lived there with them for 7 months, and during those 7 months, I found a job at an IT shop. I worked with that guy for 5 years, and that guy became like a brother to me. Even to this day, I talk to him still, and I visit him every other year. Whilst I was working, I was trying to, I tried for a lot of clubs. I chased my dream of becoming a football player. During that time, I got a bad knee injury, which led to a surgery and me ending my football career and my football dream. And that was the time that was actually very tough, because it was not only things that was going with me physically, but things as well back home in Norway. Things were not going well there either. So my father had left and went to Afghanistan because he had always wanted to go Afghanistan, live there. He wasn't liking it here. So my father had gone back to Afghanistan for good, leaving behind my mother and all my siblings here for themselves because he wanted to live there. I had to come back and get everything together because, when the head of the family is suddenly not with you, what happens then? That was one of those challenges. The other challenge was that we became homeless because there were 7 months of rent that was not paid, which I think accumulated up to I think 10 or 12,000 pounds, and we couldn't really afford it, so we became homeless. And it was during winter time as well, where the cold weather was peak, minus 20, minus 25 degrees. That was one of the coldest weathers in Norway at that time ever in a long time, and we were homeless at that time. So everyone was in panic, full panic mode. My sisters, my mother, the whole family was literally in panic, but I couldn't panic. I didn't show panic. I didn't show any stress or sad or any type of emotions to them, because I had to give them courage. Because imagine if everyone is stressed out, even the head of the family is stressed out, who are they going to look up to? So I had to suppress my feelings in order for them to feel safer, in order for them to think, okay, there's a guy, we have our son, we have our brother that's with us, so we can rely on him and feel calmer. And one thing I really really remember, and I think we learned from as a family, is that we became even closer as a family, brother to sister, mother to son, and mother to daughters. All of us just became even closer as one during that situation. And afterwards, of course, I was able to find another place. We moved there, and eventually I needed a job. After being away for 5 years, back to my family, it taught me the true meaning of having family, how much a family means, because you never know the true meaning of something until you don't have it anymore. And I didn't have my family for 5 years. I was away from them. When I came back, I really knew how and what it means to have a family. As I mentioned earlier, I worked in ITS for 5 years. I wanted to work in the same field again, but on some other level, go a higher level. After asking around, making some calls on how to become IT here, I was told that you have to study for 2 to 3 years to become that. And I said, I don't have time. My mind is fried. I can't be bothered to study. So what I did, I put the phone down, and I said to myself, man, you're tough. You've been through a lot of stuff. You have the will and you have the skills to do it and make it happen another way. So that's what I did. I went online and applied for every single IT related job. I didn't look at the title. I didn't look at the description. I would like to hell with all this logic. I'm gonna go and do it my way. I took action, and lo and behold, after the end of that month, because I was applying for a whole month, every single day I was applying for jobs for a whole month. At the end of that month, I got a reply from someone, and lo and behold, that was unimaginable place I've never thought I was gonna go to. It's like one of those firms and places you see only in the movies. Like you come and then you look around, like, and you start to think like, oh damn, am I in the wrong place or in the right place? So that was exactly my reaction as well. Long story short, I went to the interview. They liked me because they saw my resume as well, because I had worked in IT for 5 years, and they hired me for probation. I had probation for 2 months, And already after first month, they liked my work and they saw how well I performed and got a full-time job permanently.